Welcome to the Jimmy Warren Show. It's time for another hour of incredible conversations with the biggest names in music. Now here's your host, Jimmy Warren.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Jimmy Warren Show. Once again, so thankful that you've tuned in tonight. You know, tonight is like every other night on the Jimmy Warren Show. It's exciting and filled with some great conversation with some of the biggest and best names in music. You know what? And it's no different tonight because my guest is probably, in my opinion, one of, just really one of the great frontmen. Great guitarist, great vocalist. You know, he played guitar for Mr. Big for a while. He was also with Poison. There for a little bit. And now he's the front guy for the power rock trio, the Winery Dogs. And of course, I'm talking about Richie Kotzen. That's right. Richie Kotzen is my guest tonight. Now, he's got a new project out. It's called the Essential Richie Kotzen, and it's really a retrospective of his career. He went in and handpicked, some of his favorite songs that he's recorded. He's done around 20 CDs, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. And it's got two new tracks on it that are both really good, and we're going to hear, some of those tonight as well. But his new project is it's really good. He's on tour right now, promoting the release. And when he comes back, I guess in early 2015, sometime he's going to go back in the studio with the Winery Dogs. They'll put out a new CD at some point and tour that CD as well. So I think he's riding this one for a while in that, and he should. It's a great release in that, and I think you're really going to enjoy the conversation. If you don't know much about Richie Kotzen, you should really go to his website, richiekotzen.com. Also go to the winerydogs.com website as well. Find out where they're touring, where they're playing at. Get a copy of this CD because it's really, really good. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation and this music. So sit back, and when we come back, you'll hear the one and only Richie Kotzen.
Day by day, it's been building in me. Old man struggle lifting his feet. I'm not tied to you. I'm not tied. Wrapped up tight and won't let me go. Tell myself that I'm cutting the rope. I'm not tied to you. Cut me open. Oh. And you never find me.
Good. So why don't you tell me, Richie, you're just finishing up a tour and an album with the Winery Dogs. I mean, how did that play out for you?
Well, I think it went beyond our collective expectations. Initially, at least for me, I just figured I'd make a cool record with some legendary guys, release it, do a couple of key market shows, and that would be that. And I remember us getting off the plane somewhere in Latin America, making a connection, and our manager forwarded information to us telling us that our record charted on the top 200 at number 27 or somewhere around there, and we had our iTunes rock chart. We were on number 2 next to the Rolling Stones. I thought that, I was like, are you guys serious? This is really happening, And so it was a nice surprise. And from there, we just kept getting amazing offers to stay out on the road. And a year later, I think the run performed way better than any of our expectations, and we're excited to go back and do it again.
Yeah. There's been so many groups that have been called, so-called like super groups or whatever you want to call them that have come and gone.
But I got to be really honest with you. I think the Winery Dogs is probably the best out of all of that, all those groups of people like that, because not only the talent is amazing, but your material, oh my God.
Well, thank you. You know, we really didn't. I don't want to say we didn't focus on the material. Obviously, we did, but we didn't really discuss any kind of direction. It just kind of happened naturally. And, you know, the formula was pretty simple. We went in a room and threw around some ideas, recorded them. I went back and messed around with some vocal ideas and some lyrics and sang on the demos and came back out and re-recorded everything properly. And there were a few songs that I had previously written that the guys liked, and we brought those in and worked them into Winery Dog songs. And before we knew it, we had 14 original compositions recorded, and we put our record out. So it was relatively simple and easy, and maybe that's the appeal of it, because there wasn't any real, it wasn't contrived on any level. It's just three guys going in the studio and coming out with a record, you know.
Yeah. Now, for people that may not know, how did it become the three of you, you know, Mike and Billy and yourself, as opposed to, I mean, did you pick them? Was it something you guys were all out having coffee and it just happened, or?
No, it wasn't like that. You know, it's kind of strange for me the way it happened, because I had just come off an album cycle. I was touring a lot, and I just put out an album 24 hours, and I was very exhausted, and I remember saying to one of my friends, you know, I love my career and what I've been able to do over the last 15 years, but I feel like I need to take a break from Richie Kotzen, and I think the next thing I do, it would be interesting and good for me to do something with some other people, you know, more of a collaborative thing. And, no, not that I was thinking about giving up anything or moving away from my solo career, not at all. But just to take a break from myself and get a new perspective. Well, no sooner did I say that, the phone rang, and it was my friend Eddie Trunk, and he told me that Billy Sheehan and Mike Portnoy were looking to do a power trio kind of band, and they wanted to know if Eddie could recommend any kind of guitar player that could write songs and sing. And so my name came up. And then from there, it just kind of, you know, casually came together. You know, we got together at my house and talked for a little while, went in my studio and did some jamming. And actually, that first day, we ended up with a couple pieces of music that are on the record.
Wow, that's an amazing story. It's very cool. Now, let's. I mean, the tour has gone great. The CD for the Winery Dogs is going great. And you said you have plans to go back in the studio and record a new CD and tour again next year, maybe?
Yeah. Basically what's happening now? The Winery Dog album cycle is finished. I'm leaving at the end of this month to start a long solo tour. I'm going to Europe, Latin America, and the United States, and I'm probably going to end up staying out until pretty much the end of the year, the way it's looking. And that tour is in support for a record that is being released next month called the Essential Richie Kotzen, which is pretty much a retrospective album with two new songs. And then at the downbeat of next year, I'm releasing a solo record that's going to be called Cannibals. And so my plan is to basically, you know, stay out touring in support of these records, and at some point next year, the Winery Dogs will, in fact, be in the studio recording new material. And our goal for the Winery Dogs is to have a new record released by the summertime, you know, pretty much 2 years off the release of the first record, I guess you'd say, so we can be out touring the festivals this summer.
Right. Now, you mentioned the new release that you have coming out on September 2nd.
Next summer. I got my timeline screwed up, I'm sorry.
Well, I can imagine, you know, you're all over the place. I saw your tour schedule. It's going to be crazy. The new release, though, comes out September 2nd, and it's called the Essential Richie Kotzen. And I understand that you handpicked all because it's a 2 CD, 1 DVD package, and you handpicked all the material off of it over your, was it like 18 or 19 solo albums?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. It's hard for me to count them because some records I've released and I didn't put it under my own name because they were just stylistically different, so I don't really even know how to count them. But I guess it's somewhere in that world, 18 or 20, I don't know. But basically, the question has come up, and really after the Winery Dogs, it's like people, I have a fan base, a great fan base that allows me to tour and make records and all that great stuff. But there's a large portion of the rock community that knows my name but really has no idea what I do as a recording artist or what I've been doing. And because there are so many records out there, and people that are curious to know, it becomes confusing. They don't know what to buy. It's like, well, what record do I buy to get into Richie Kotzen? So we decided to make one package that included what I thought were the most significant compositions over my career, and we put that together. So now it answers the question if someone says, hey, I just found, I didn't know you sang. I hear that, for example, and I want to buy one of your records. Well, this would be the one to buy for somebody that is just learning about me for the first time.
All this time she got the best of me, and I've got nothing to stand by.
Hey, this is Steve Lukather of Toto, and you're listening to Jimmy Warren.
Now, I'm familiar with you. I've kind of followed your career, and being a guitar player myself, I think that you do an amazing job on the guitar, and I love the versatility that you have. Because believe it or not, one of the coolest songs that I thought that I've seen you play was "Sarah Smile" by Hall & Oates.
Oh yeah, it's funny that I love Daryl Hall's work and what he did with Hall & Oates, and he actually he's from pretty much where I'm from. I mean, I grew up just outside of Reading, Pennsylvania, and I believe he was from Pottstown. My parents had a carpet store years ago, and his parents came in and bought carpet from my parents. So. But I grew up listening to that sound, the R&B thing was really big in my region outside of Philadelphia, and so that's a big part of me, and, doing covers isn't something that I'm not like a guy that likes to run around and go in the studio and record cover songs. I don't see the point, but if I do cover songs, which I've done, it's really because that particular song rings a chord in me, or I connect with it in a way that has something to do with my past and my development. So, Sarah Smile is a song that I play live sometimes just because I like it. It's something that's close to my heart, and that's really the motivation for me.
Yeah. Well, the new CD, there's a couple of tracks on the Essential that are new, and They're amazing, especially the first cut called Warpaint.
Sure. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, can you give maybe a little background or some information behind that song?
Well, that song and Walk With Me were both written while I was on the road. I wrote them around the same time in various hotel rooms. And I came off the road at one point on a break. I recorded them in a very kind of loose, demo-y format, and then they lived on the hard drive for about a month. I came home again, and I finished them. One of the focuses for Warpaint was that I really wanted it to sound like a live band playing together. And so, obviously I'm playing all the instruments on that particular song. So in order to do that, I realized that a lot of that sound is going to come to play as it relates to how I do the production. So I purposely didn't do any overdubs with the guitar. I did one guitar pass, and in order to change the sound, I relied on different pedals. So you'll notice, the tone changes. It gets big, it gets small. There's a section where it gets kind of washy and reverb. So I just made it a point to do one guitar pass and use the pedals to change the tone rather than a lot of overdubs and that sort of thing. So that was the focus on that song as far as the recording. And then with Walk With Me, it was kind of a different approach. There's more overdubs happening on that song. But the key component there is the theremin. And when I wrote the song, I just heard that instrument playing a key part in the song. And so I went online and I bought a theremin. I shipped it to my house. I opened it, and I couldn't do anything with it. It was like the most hideous sound you can imagine. So I spent 2 weeks messing around with this thing and finally figured out how to play the melodies that I was hearing in my head. And so now when you listen to the track, you can hear what I was hearing.
Yeah, wow. you should have called Joe Bonamassa. I've seen him use that live a few times.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah, I got to check that out.
Yeah, he's got a couple of songs. I can't remember which ones they were off the top of my head, but that he used it on. Pretty crazy contraption. So, you've had a long industrious career. You've been around the block. You've done quite a bit. If there's a bucket list, a professional bucket list for you, what would be at the top of that?
I don't know, because I'm kind of a weirdo. I don't really. I learned the expectations can be dangerous. And I don't mean that as it relates to just living a full life and all that stuff. I'm very happy and very satisfied. But I don't put myself in a position with my music where I expect things. Even if I write a song and I think it's a great song and should be on the radio and all that, I'm so aware of the reality of the music business and how it works that I only really focus on things that I can control, which to me is, my artistic vision, so to speak. So if I play a song like Walk With Me, my focus is making sure that I get on tape what I'm hearing in my head. And then whatever happens, I can make every effort to talk about the record, and of course I love playing live. So whatever comes from that is a bonus, and it's been working for me for a long time. So to sit around and think, one day I want to do this, and one day I want to do that, my brain doesn't really work that way. It's not to say I'm not motivated, because I am, and I'm always trying to learn new things and evolve and develop as a musician and as a person, but I'm not a real big expectations guy. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than terribly disappointed.
Now, you just mentioned about taking the opportunity to kind of hone your craft. How much time do you spend actually practicing or learning new things on the guitar, or are you just so inundated with work and touring and in a busy schedule, doing interviews and all that other crazy crap, that how much time do you really get to devote to that? Is it something that's a priority?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a great question, because obviously when I was much younger, all I did was sit around and play the guitar. and try to write songs and work on all that. And then as you move on and people want to talk to you, like you said, you're doing interviews and preparing for a tour, your time gets divided differently. And oftentimes what happens for me is, in order to feel fresh artistically, I need to take breaks. I can't just tour all year long because I start to hate music, or I can't just be in the studio for 3 months locked away. I need that, balance so that I can stay fresh and be inspired. So, right now at this phase, obviously I'm doing a lot of press to talk about the new record. I'm about to go on tour, so I got to prepare for that. But a funny thing that I have to do is learn my own music. There's a solo I did on this new song that I'm releasing next year that I went back and I have no idea what the hell I did. So, that comes into when people ask about practicing. I got to practice, even to play stuff that I've already played. When you're in the studio, you're creating, you're moving quickly, and you're not worried about live. But then when it's time to play live, you got to go back and figure out, all right, how the hell am I going to sing and play this at the same time? Or what did I do there at that one section? So there's always something to deal with,
I think that's rather interesting that you bring that up because, like I said, being an artist myself, I struggle with that constantly because when you're in the studio, it's all about the creation and making the song the best that it can, and you're not thinking about those other aspects. So some people probably don't realize that you have to go back and you have to relearn or re-educate yourself around what you did in order to be able to pull it off live.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the new CD, I've been able to hear it, and I think it's great. I've been a fan for a long time. The music, as a guitar player, I think you're, definitely one of the best that's out there. And your ability to combine, soul and blues and rock and all that stuff. I mean, your music's a music of emotion. You know what I mean? It's not just all technical and that. It's emotion. Wouldn't you say that?
Well, I don't necessarily analyze myself, but I appreciate the compliment. I certainly, my focus is always, making music that means something to me. I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm mad at music, so to speak. And I think the way to prevent that from happening is to make sure that you're making music that you believe in and that you stay inspired. I mean, the worst thing in the world is to have some kind of deadline looming and just not really having inspiration. That's the formula for disaster. Yeah. So I feel like I don't really move unless have that proper inspiration.
Yeah. Well, Richie, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this. Spend a few minutes with me and that.
I'm leaving, hanging by a thread. Last night I believed in everything you said. I don't sweat on the details, 'cause the picture's in my head. I just need to believe in everything you said. So come on and lie to me, baby. Tell me what I wanna hear. Anything's believable if we both say so. I want you to lie to me, baby. Show me what I wanna feel. Anything's possible when you can't say no. Lie to me, lie to me, lie to me. Tell me what I wanna hear. Lie to me, lie to me. lie to me. I believe it. I'm so caught up, you got me hooked again. I can't stop thinking about it, I can't let it end. Oh, I know I might pay for it later, but I know the cost. I can't blame you, no, I thank you, because I've already lost. I just want you to lie to me, baby. Tell me what I wanna hear. Anything's believable if we both say so. I want you to lie to me, baby, so we can feel how we wanna feel. You know anything's possible when you can't say no. It's not about the future.
For more show information, archive shows, or to see who Jimmy's guests will be, visit the website at www.jimmywarrenshow.com. To learn more about Jimmy Warren and his new release, Just Playin', go to www.jimmywarren.info and be sure to follow Jimmy on Facebook.
All right, don't just follow me on Facebook. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter at The Jimmy Warren Show and our new YouTube channel. It's on Jimmy Warren Show. New videos are going up daily. What we're doing is we're taking our archive shows and we're putting them on YouTube for you to listen to. And in the coming days, you're going to see more and more actual videos through Skype interviews and live interviews with some of these artists as we move forward. So you definitely want to stay posted to that and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So, and you can always visit us at jimmywarrenshow.com. You can find out what's going on, what's happening, and you know who the guests are going to be and all that great stuff. And so don't miss out on anything that's happening on the Jimmy Warren Show, okay? And right now we're going to go to a great song. This is a John Lee Hooker classic. This is Boom Boom, but this is Becky Barks Day.
Right off of your feet, I'll take you home with me. I'll put you in my house. Boom, 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 boom. Well, I love to see you strut up and down the floor when you're talking to me, and then baby talk. Yeah, I like it like that. Oh, I like it like that. When you talk that talk and you walk that walk. I love you, baby. Shake it for me. One time. Just one more time. You know I love you, baby. Ooh, I love you, baby. Yeah. Come on, strut that strut. Come on, walk that walk. Come on, talk that talk. Yeah, I love you, baby. Come on back, baby. Shake it, baby. When he walks that walk and talk that talk and whisper in my ear and tell me that you love me. Well, I love that talk. When you talk like that, you knocks me out right off of my feet. Oh, I talk that talk and walk that walk. Oh, Well, you can walk out that door, never turn around, but don't go telling lies all over town, trying to rewrite history. Don't put the blame on me. It's not enough, you gotta tear us apart. Why you wanna drive this knife through my heart? Go on and let it be. Don't put the blame on me. You and I, we both know why this love affair is through. You'll get no blessing for you fooling and messing by telling tales that just ain't true. So you can walk out that door just to keep on walking, but stop and think before you start talking and have some dignity. Don't put the blame on me.
empty highway has a across land, purple mountains and endless sand. I feel free. Hands on the wheel. I feel free. Nothing more real. I feel free. Higher and higher, like a cloud in the sky. I feel free. I feel free. I feel free. I feel free. I feel higher and higher. Got my hands on the wheel, and I feel free.
show information, archive shows, or to see who Jimmy's guests will be, visit the website at www.jimmywarrenshow.com. To learn more about Jimmy Warren and his new release, Just Playin', go to www.jimmywarren.info and be sure to follow Jimmy on Facebook.